It's showtime. We are officially live. Happy Monthly Giving Awareness Week, everybody.
Welcome to Monthly Giving Awareness Week.
We got the swag to prove it. It's happening.
First annual.
First annual. Welcome, everybody. I can't believe it's here. I am so pumped about this week. I think we all know a couple weeks ago, months is maybe an overstatement, but a couple weeks, maybe a month and a half ago, we started having these conversations, and here we are. We have a
rapid fire.
Yeah, scrappy, rapid fire. We have a week dedicated to monthly giving. Thanks everybody for joining us. Before we get into what it is we're doing here and what this week is, why don't we all introduce ourselves, the folks that are on the screen. I can go first. I'm Kelsey. I'm the Director of Partnerships at the GivingTuesday Data Commons.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Data Commons, so we do research on how people give in all forms to better understand generosity around the world. I work with our data partners on the research and insights that we utilize to build our research products and projects. And I work with folks like RKD Group and Dana to make that happen. On how to make those insights more practical and useful for the sector. So hence the reason this week is happening. Jenn, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, Jenn Thompson, SVP of Digital Strategy at RKD Group. Get to work with dozens, hundreds, depends on the day, nonprofits, helping them do all things digital, but this week, hopefully helping them shine a light more on their monthly giving programs. Weekly giving, every other week giving, whatever it is, programs. Excited to be here. Excited to partner with Dana and GivingTuesday to make this come to life.
So thrilled to be here. And actually, this whole thing came to be. Jenn and I were sitting in a room in January together. And I was like, there just needs to be like this excitement, this awareness around monthly giving. And for my intro, I host the Monthly Giving Summit. I have the podcast, Missions to Movements. I have the book, The Monthly Giving Mastermind, which is sitting right here. So obviously I'm semi-obsessed, I say, with all things monthly giving and just creating really sustainable, predictable revenue streams for nonprofits. And Jenn and I were sitting in a room and I was like, what if there was a day? And then it was like, what if there's a week? And it literally is just, I always say there's so much magic that happens when you're in a room with somebody and you can just be open and have the time to brainstorm and let your mind get out of the day-to-day things. And so we really just came up with this genesis of we need monthly giving to be a bigger priority. And a lot of that stems from amazing data from GivingTuesday. So I teach all things monthly giving, speak on it, have the podcast, like to share all of your amazing stories. So in this LinkedIn Live, we wanted to kick off the day, the week, and really share data about why it's so important and crucial, especially now. Talk to you a little bit, literally show you some of the resources that are going to be coming out this week that you can be a part of, that you can submit to win, to be nominated for. And then we have a very exciting guest coming up in just a little bit, Harper from Feed the Children, that's going to talk about why monthly giving is such a big priority in their work. So Kelsey, kick it back to you.
Awesome. Okay, so like Dana said, this came together just a couple of months ago, and right around the time that Dana was launching her second monthly giving summit, we at the GivingTuesday Data Commons were doing some analysis on recurring giving and other big opportunities in the giving economy. And why did we focus on recurring? So we know how important recurring giving is for nonprofits. We hear it from so many of the nonprofits in our networks, and we know in other countries, for example, around the world, like Norway and Spain and others, they have more of an infrastructure around recurring or monthly, and they have a culture around it. And so we were asking ourselves, can we look and see what the opportunities in the US might be with recurring? At the same time, we regularly report out on something called the Fundraising Effectiveness Project, and we've repeatedly seen sort of stagnant fundraising trends, less participation from donors, dollars staying relatively steady, but we haven't seen like a major shakeup in fundraising numbers in a long time, 2020 being the last that you can really see major spikes and changes. And then all the while we are thinking about these things, this has been an incredibly difficult year for nonprofits. We have an unsteady economy right now. We are seeing major changes for funding pipelines, and many turning to individual giving programs to either develop the ones that they have, grow them, kickstart them. And recurring is so important. And we think that recurring should be something that we think about at the forefront of our individual giving strategies rather than like a secondary thought inside of those strategies. And so we wanted to do a bit of research to understand what is going on with recurring and what those major opportunities might be that are out there that we haven't fully realized. So my colleague James at the GivingTuesday Data Commons, I want to shout out him, did this amazing research. I did not, I am just speaking to it. But he did this really cool research utilizing our fundraising effectiveness data that we thought might help paint a bit of a picture of why and what might be possible if we tap into recurring more holistically.
And if you're not listening, literally tune in for this. It's about to blow your mind.
Ooh, yes, I love the pump up that I'm getting for this. Okay, I hope I can live up to the expectations.
Lean in, everyone, lean in.
Yeah. I'm going to start with some good news first. So some good news. The percentage of donors who are recurring has increased from 3.76% in 2019 to 6.23% in 2024. That's amazing news. But the percentage of new donors acquired as recurring has remained relatively flat at around just under 2%. This makes sense. As a new donor, it may be a big ask for them to agree to supporting your cause in an ongoing manner. A couple other great things about recurring that I'm just gonna tease in there before I give you these big opportunity numbers. Recurring donors are retained at much higher rates. So 1 year after acquisition, 90% of new recurring donors are retained compared to just 20% of new non-recurring donors. And again, this is utilizing fundraising effectiveness.
That's huge.
Data, yeah, huge, right? 90% compared to 20%. Plus, recurring donors have a higher average donor value than non-recurring donors. So in 2024, recurring donors' average donor value was $395 and non-recurring was $229. That makes sense, right? These are people giving on a regular basis. It would make sense that their donor value is a little bit larger. So we're looking at these numbers. We're seeing this amazing opportunity with recurring. We're asking what can we unlock if we move that stagnant 2% of new acquired donors that are recurring up just a little bit. So if we were to move that 2% up just 5 percentage points to 7%, we could add $10 billion a year to the sector.
With a B.
A 10-point increase could add $20 billion to the sector. I mean, increases from 5 and then an additional 10, that's a lot to ask. That's changing the way that we think about our fundraising strategy. It's a lot to think about. And those numbers, the billions, can feel probably a little abstract. How does this relate to my own nonprofit? You think about changing those percentage points in your own nonprofit, right? What is your average new recurring donor rate right now? Think about bumping that up 5% or bumping that up 10%. What would that mean for your baseline if you were to do that? So we hope these numbers sort of inspire you to think about changing the strategies and the ways you're doing that. And RKD Group and Dana are the exact right people to help us think about how to do that. And they have tons of great strategies that can help us do that. So, and Dana's sharing.
Here's just a visual of what Kelsey was talking about. In case you're a graphic visual learner, this is available on GivingTuesday's LinkedIn page and on the Monthly Giving Week website as well.
So this week is all about how we sort of seize that opportunity and see it happen. We see that potential happen. So this week we have a lot of resources. We're sharing a lot of exciting things throughout the week. I'm gonna let Dana share more about that, but I hope that was helpful. And if people have questions, I can pop into the LinkedIn chat. But
yeah, I think the opportunity just sets us up for how much there is. I think sometimes when you were in it, it just seems like, oh, everyone's already doing it already. And it's quite frankly not. I was just looking at some stats because I'll be doing a presentation on this tomorrow. And I think it's 84% of Americans have a subscription. But then to your point, if new donors are staying relatively flat at that 2% or under as recurring, like we do like give in this way, but it's just to the subscription brands that we're used to. So we just need to get the habit of asking this way. So that's what this week is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our exciting web page up. And this is monthlygivingweek.com. And what we have done is every single week, and I will come back to the monthlies in just a second, every single day, apologies, there's going to be 3 pieces of educational content. There's going to be articles, podcasts, videos, downloads, webinars, lots of different things that you can sign up for or just download and get immediate access to. And so this is obviously happening literally right now, very meta of me to bring up, but you can see on Monday. So we have the kickoff. There's a blog post that you can access and an infographic. And so we really want this week to be what you want it to be. So whether this is just a week of gathering insights, if your organization has never thought about recurring giving before, making that ask before, maybe it's taking these resources and sharing them with your board. Maybe it's setting aside 30 minutes, an hour of time to think about, okay, how could this work for us? Or maybe it's using it as a week to give thanks to your existing recurring donors, or using it as a catalyst to make the ask for the first time of recurring giving. Literally whatever you want this week to be, this is going to happen for years to come. This is the first year we're doing this, and we want to hear your feedback too about what's most beneficial and helpful for you. So every single day, you'll notice there are not buttons or links yet for each of the pieces. So every day, this new educational resources will be dripped out to you. So come back to the site and we will have the updated links for you to be able to access all of these amazing resources. I do want to go ahead and call out that on Thursday, this one will be updated right after we get off this call. Friends for Life, and actually we can drop the link for the webinar in the chat. This webinar you can go ahead and register for. I'm really excited about it. Friends for Life. This is going to have a bunch of incredible people come together on a panel, myself included, Erica Wasdorf, Dave Rayleigh, Tim Sarantino, to talk about all things recurring giving and the history of it. And so join us on Thursday for that. And then something that we really wanted to make sure that was very important is that we celebrate and highlight your work, the incredible work that you're doing, no matter whatever size organization you are. And so we've created our version of the Oscars, which is called the Monthlies. And so there is a Monthlies nomination form. And essentially what this is there we will honor 3 organizations, small, medium, large, around innovation, community building, sustainable revenue through your recurring giving programs, your campaigns. If you've been working really hard, I love, like Megan earlier just talked about a Mother's Day campaign. If you've been working really hard on a program, a campaign, share that with us. We want to spotlight your organization. We have an amazing panel of judges that are going to come together at the end of the week, and winners will be notified on Friday. The winner is going to receive a bunch of different things, but a RKD blog post are going to be featured across social media. You'll get a podcast episode on missions to movements, a gift card for some monthly giving swag. And we really just want this to be an opportunity to celebrate and highlight your work. And it's always amazing when we can see and hear from peers in the space around what they're doing, which encourages us and can just celebrate each other. So if you want more details on that, everything is on monthlygivingweek.com. You can scroll down to the bottom to enter the monthlies, or you can click the button right here at the top. But just know that every single day, if you don't see the button yet, that's because it's going to be dropped off that day. And I think it's going to be around 9 a.m. Eastern time every day that you'll be able to get access to all of the new resources. But you can at least go on the website and get a sneak peek of what's to come if you're like, oh yeah, I want to make sure I go that on Wednesday and get access to X thing. So we hope that this just helps curate conversations, curiosity, and excitement within all of your organizations for monthly giving. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jenn. And this is where we kind of put some talk and thought into practical action.
Yeah, before I introduce our special guest, I was going to ask people to drop in the chat because I saw some great comments. Who is doing sustainer management as a side hustle, or who's got it as like your main job? Because I'm going to guess nobody's going to say it's my sole responsibility. It is probably 20%, 30% of people's jobs. Work with a ton of organizations. Everybody has a major gift officer. Some have monthly gift or mid-level gift officers. Really don't think I've run into a monthly donor gift officer.
Rare.
And I feel like if we got to that $10 billion, right, and we grew the programs, more organizations would have that. So it'd be great to hear if anybody's playing that role right now, and how much of your job really is it?
That's a great question.
And with that, are we ready to bring on our star?
Let's do it. Harper, welcome to the stage.
I want to introduce Harper Grubbs, Vice President of Digital Fundraising and Transformation at Feed the Children. He's also got a great graphic t-shirt collection. Didn't wear it today. We probably made him think this was too formal of an event. But, Harper, I'll send you a t-shirt after this.
I love it. Thank you, Jenn.
Wanted to hear from you. One, do you all have a monthly gift officer, or is it your team's side hustle?
That's a great question. It is a combination of things. So we do have a child sponsorship program, which is monthly giving, which has been a big part of our organization for years and years and years. But then we also have what we call unrestricted sustainer program, which is focused on getting people who are monthly donors who are not connected to a child sponsorship program. And that kind of lives within the digital fundraising department, as well as our direct marketing fundraising department. So our direct mail, and we have both offline and online people who are manage those in different channels, working together on that. So it's a bit of a side hustle. It's not a dedicated spot. It's not a dedicated role.
Okay. You also have a call center, right? So they're probably taking calls from monthly donors or monthly donor prospects as well.
Right. Yeah, we've got a call center that takes care of our donors really well, and to service those folks on the back end, as well as encouraging people to consider monthly donating on a monthly basis when they call in about their one-time gift.
All right. Harper, we've had conversations about prioritizing monthly giving over one time, right? Sometimes it feels like a sacrifice. Do you make the donation form just default to monthly giving? Do you put a form out there that just has that, so if you can catch somebody's eye for it? But how do you make the case for when you really push it? Because sometimes you're sacrificing one-time gift revenue to try to get that monthly donor in the door, right? The average gift is so much different.
Right. That is a thing that's always trying to strike a balance, is between that what you just said, the average gift, and the pressure that you have on your one-time revenue. And so one of the things that we had to look at really carefully was how do we prioritize the one-time versus the monthly? And we definitely want to grow monthly as a strategy going forward, but we can't say goodbye to the one-time revenue either. So we have to strike that balance in making sure that people are aware that we have monthly as an option. As Dana was talking about earlier, we live in a subscription economy, so people are very accustomed to paying for things on a monthly basis, but they may not know that they can donate monthly to your organization or another organization, or they may think, in our case, the only option is to do a child sponsorship. So it's part of it is just making it obvious to people that they can donate monthly, and showing them how that helps better plan and helps to make their gift more impactful and help the organization run more efficiently over time.
Have you, just in trying to get new sustainers, are you testing language? Are you testing tactics on a donation form? Are you testing frequently? What's your testing approach?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've learned through testing that I want to point out is it's important to know that what you see other organizations doing doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It may not even be working for them because it may be an experiment that's failing. So just because you see something doing something on their website doesn't mean it's actually the best opportunity, the best approach to monthly giving. So you have to learn and experiment with what works for you and find what works for you. We all have different brands. We all have slightly different donor bases, and we all have people give to organizations for different reasons. Maybe you're really connected to a cause, in the healthcare world, or maybe you're, giving to your university or something like that, where you've got that emotional connection, or maybe it's just a cause that you're really passionate about, like hunger, childhood hunger. And so your reason for giving is a little bit differently. So you have to find what works for your brand and your mission, and really show the impact of how their monthly gift is going to make a difference for whatever it is they're passionate about, and really make that connection to how this is the best option for this. So you mentioned like defaulting to monthly donations. There's definitely data that shows if you default to monthly donations on your donation form, you're going to get a lot more monthly donors than you are, but you may have some other unintended consequences down the road. So you may have more people doing it accidentally, which is going to show up in, lower retention numbers. It's going to show up in refunds, things like that. So you have to really watch your data and really be mindful of your overall user experience that you're creating, so that people are very clear that they're signing up for monthly. And if you can do that, that's a really good option to do that. The other things that we've experimented with are offering a suggestion in the donation form and the one-time process to upgrade to monthly, just to make it more obvious that it's there as an option. And that can be successful. And again, it's just finding the right way to do it at the right moment.
I think that's a great feature when your donation form platform offers that, because it helps people be aware. I've tried the set it monthly by default, and the numbers look great for the first month, and then the call center team starts saying, hey, people didn't realize what they were doing, and then you end up turning it off or changing tactics. And so I like and the upsell mid donation feels like a much more donor friendly way to go about it.
I have a case study that literally I went through this with a client last year. They have a very substantially sized monthly giving program, and they were having that issue of cancellations happening for people thinking that they were giving one time when it was monthly. And we just did a lot of copy changes to make it super apparent that it was monthly. And in a 4-month period, like before we did the change and then after, it went down dramatically. I think it was like an 86% reduction
in cancellations.
In cancellations from just putting the word monthly multiple times throughout the experience, and after we cleaned up the post email series. So even sometimes if people would have thought they were tricked, even though we made it very apparent that it was monthly on the front end, there was a kindness about it on the back end. It was like, oh, okay, well, actually, I'm going to make my gift monthly now. Right. I do want to give in this way. And so I think it's all about how you craft the initial experience, and then also on the retention side, if there is that question. But I love that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, I love that you said 4 months, because if you're going to commit to doing it and try it, learn from it, make changes, right? Adjust to what the donors are requesting or how they're reacting to things, but don't just shut it off after a week because 2 donors called and said, I didn't realize it was monthly. Right.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Jen, because too often we'll get those calls from the call center and we'll panic. Well, if one person's saying this, a whole bunch of people must be saying this. So you have to really take all that stuff into context. And another thing that you can watch, instead of waiting for 3 months to see if cancellations and refunds happen, is watch your average gift. If you see your average gift of your monthly donors looking like your one-time average gift, you're probably getting people doing it accidentally. And you can go in and make some adjustments in real time, and then watch that average gift come back and kind of normalize where you would expect it to be. So, we all have a pretty good idea of what the average monthly gift for our donors are, what the average one-time gift is. And if they're widely different, that really helps you to narrow in and focus on what am I seeing in my data in real time, as opposed to having to wait for things. And then you can also be proactive with your call center in that case. If you see somebody make $100 a month gift, which is way out of your average, your call center might want to contact that donor and say, hey, we noticed this. Did you intend? Thank you for making this great gift. Did you intend for it to be monthly? And it's a great thing that you're proactively servicing that donor as opposed to waiting for them to recognize that it was a mistake and call back. And then they're angry. You're catching them at that moment when they're still very happy from that. They're on that oxytocin rush.
Harper, we're going to throw a question out to you about premiums because this came up for my team last week. Do donors like a premium to become a monthly donor? I think in your past life, you might have done something like goat totes. I've done tote bags for another organization I work with. Curious how you feel about a premium as a monthly donor offer.
Yeah, premiums are great for some organizations and not great for other organizations. So I've seen, premiums work really well on the front end as a, sign up today and you'll get a goat tote, or any other kind of tote for whatever your organization might be, or sign up today and, after 3 months we'll send you a thing, or maybe it's a surprise thing. And I've seen both of those, the front end and back end, work really well. It has to be something that's unique and that the donor, finds valuable. Like, not a coffee mug isn't going to work for everybody, or an umbrella is not going to work for everybody. So you got to find what works for you, that's true to your brand, that represents your mission, that people are going to find cute. I would encourage you to not just put your logo on something and send that to somebody, because that's not really unique and clever. But experimenting with that. It's experimentation. It's testing and learning. It's finding out what works for your organization. The one caveat to premiums is really understanding the full cost that premiums bring. So premiums can really be helpful in terms of boosting your acquisition numbers, but you need to watch your retention numbers and see how that plays out over time, because it may lead to that big boost in acquisition, like I said, but then your retention may fall off, but you may see your retention stay up. So one of the other things that I've seen really positive results with is a surprise premium several months down the road to those donors who signed up as a monthly donor that weren't acquired through a premium. Figure out where that retention fall off generally happens, and surprise that donor with a really cool premium to thank them for being a monthly donor, and then see what that does to your retention numbers a few months later. I've seen some really positive results of that.
That's great. Let's talk retention. So I sometimes have to fight with an organization over, can I email the monthly donors in regular appeals and things? And I always see that when we do, they have the best open rates, the best click-through rates. They even have higher response rates. There's generally not as many of them, but the response rates are great because these are your most dedicated donors. But just wanted your thoughts on, do you send your monthly donors everything you're sending out? Do you hold back sometimes? What's your approach on that?
Yeah. It's all over the place. So we kind of go back and forth in that ourselves with a little bit of an internal struggle on what is the right cadence, what's the right amount, how often do you want to remind that person that they're a monthly donor, so that you are providing the good stewardship experience, so that they know the impact that their monthly donation is having, but not overdoing it where they're getting irritated with you to the point where they don't want to hear from you anymore. So it's a balancing act. So they do not. I generally recommend and find that it's better to not include them in everything, but really find the things that are the most impactful in terms of moving that. How are you being intentional in what you're providing to these donors? And that should be the case across whatever donor it is, being intentional. But what are you providing to them that's providing value to that donor? And then amping that up a level with your monthly donors, because they do, like Kelsey was saying earlier, have a much higher lifetime value, higher average donor value. So they're, your most important donors. So really being intentional about that and being selective, but making sure that you're not being silent. You can't give them the silent treatment either, because that's going to have the same effect as over communicating.
Yeah, I think there's not enough impact reporting that goes out to monthly donors. Maybe skew too much on the extra asks, but not enough, thank you so much. Here's the value. Here's how many meals you provided or animals you saved or those pieces.
Right.
I think it's also, so I give to 5 organizations currently as a recurring donor. And I tend to think, maybe this is just myself, but as recurring donors, in for the long-term vision of what you're doing. And so even the context of that, where I don't necessarily maybe need to hear about what's like tactically happening all the time, but what's the bigger picture things you're working on? Is there a big like partnership that you're working on? Is there legislature that you're working on that's passing up? Like the more like meaty, rich stuff that's happening. And how can I be a part of that too? I think is always a question to have for the recurring giving community, as we so badly like want to do more when we're truly invested in the impact and the cause. And so I think even from that point, the impact emails and communication can vary based upon those two different communities, your one time and your recurring.
Great point.
Amazing. Harper, thank you so much for being with us and all that you do. Harper, everyone can connect with you on LinkedIn and all of us. And we want to, Harper, thank you so much for being here. And please continue to spread the word about Monthly Giving Awareness Week. And for all of us, I don't know, Jenn and Kelsey, if you want to wrap by saying something, but I'll just say I am very excited for this movement. The moment we're in, I think we have the opportunity to make a really monumental difference. And I think my goal is to come back next year with GivingTuesday data commons and say, look, we've increased by a couple percentage points. Look at the lift that we've had. And if this week, this movement can help start to do that, I think we just want to be a resource to help in whatever way it can make that possible.
Yeah, I would just say enter the Monthies and an organization that you work at, work with, work for. Go ahead and put in the information. Would love to see what gets entered, and if we can help, bring awareness to those programs more. I think we want to make that a future of Monthly Giving Awareness Week as well.
I will add, my last thought is, Harper, is so good to just learn from your like tactical experience. And this week, I hope, is really like a culture of learning. Like, share how and what you are doing in your recurring or your monthly or whatever programs so that others can learn from it. With this first week, we don't have all of the answers, right? So we want people to learn and share. So I encourage everyone to feel empowered either to do that through the monthlies or through your own, maybe through your LinkedIn, or maybe just with another
on Thursday.
Yeah. Or
we actually have on Thursday, it's not live yet, but we have, is it Wednesday? Wednesday. We are literally going to have a prompt for you either on Instagram stories you can use or on LinkedIn, literally copy, paste, customize for why monthly matters at your organization. We want to make, literally to Kelsey's point, ripple effects of just conversations happen through this week.
Yep. Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out.
We try and make it easy.
I like totally blinked on that, being a really critical CTA on that, but you nailed it. But yeah, I hope that this is a culture of sharing and learning together, and really, really excited and grateful to be doing it with RKD and with you, Dana.
Amazing. Thank you, RKD. Thank you, GivingTuesday. Harper, thank you so much. Everyone, go flood the website. We hope it crashes. Monthly Giving Week.
RKD does not hope it crashes.
RKD doesn't want it to crash, but that would be great if it did. Celebrate this week. Celebrate yourselves. We can't wait to read all of your submissions. With that, happy Monthly Giving Awareness Week, everyone.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank you all.